Welcome back, guys. It is Saturday, January 23rd. We have a 4-game slate here. So this is the NHL DFS puck drop. I am Hold the Door DFS. You can find me on Twitter. We are at Fantasy Sports Insight, and we are really pumped to bring you this free NHL content every day. The only days that it might not drop is if it's only a 2-gamer. So, but overall, almost every day you're going to see this out here. So thanks for all the feedback. I love all the comments and being able to respond. So if you have lineup questions or anything you'd like to see added to this, make sure you put that in the comments below. I will do my best for all you listeners to continue to get better at my pronunciations, but you guys are phenomenal help as well in the comments. So you see Gallagher on the front. Let's get into the slate. The odds and totals, this slate is not as like appealing as you've seen others, mainly because it's the first one without, one of the big three centers in McDavid, McKinnon, and Matthews. So the pricing just looks a little bit different, and I think a balanced attack type of build will be pretty popular today. So Canadians right now have a 3.3 implied total. So does the Blues. So does the Jets. So there's nobody, again, that's really like jumping off the page. The Blues are the biggest money line favorite at minus 190. And then the Canadians are minus 150. The Bruins minus 150 as well. The 3.1 implied total against the Flyers. But I do think the game that's going to kind of continue to trend up here is going to be the game between Montreal and Vancouver that we just saw. Was no defense played at all. And I think that's something similar we might see here again tonight. All right, the stud centers. So again, like I said, we don't have the guys that we have been paying for in the past, right? We don't have the studs. So we have Patrice Bergeron here, 7,900. We know the Bruins have really struggled to score in even strength. Saying that, it's still Patrice Bergeron. He's has a higher shot volume this year than he has in the past. I think that's mostly because Pastrnak has not been on the ice. So instead of him dishing it to the wing to Pastrnak, he's taking more of those shots in the middle of the ice. But I think he's in play at 7.9. I don't think he's a lock, but I think he is a nice pivot or nice correlation play with Marchand at the winger position. Scheifele, 7,200, just continues to dominate. I mean, you're talking about a center who's playing 24 on average, just slightly ahead above 24 minutes on ice time. And this year he's shooting. So in the past, it's something that we haven't really seen from him. He didn't really have a floor. So he is shooting a lot more this year. So I love him at 7,200 in what will be now the third matchup with Ottawa, which again is a matchup that, in the first two games have produced goals. So I like both those top two centers. Horvat is coming off 4 goals in the last 2 games or something crazy like that. What does scare me a little bit with him is his shot volume is still relatively low, like 3 shots on goal is probably an average for him. So you're still not getting that much of an implied floor, but if he scores like he has in the last couple of games, then he definitely will pay off that price tag. And in that game environment, if you're game stacking there, he's somebody that you'll want to get in your lineups. The thing with him is, though, he's going to be skating with like Hoglander on the second line. He won't be with Pedersen and Besser and JT Miller. He's going to be with Pearson and Hoglander. But he does get correlation with Quinn Hughes on the power play. Kopitar, another situation similar to Scheifele, like he's playing 24, 25 minutes on ice time, has honestly played really well in matchups where they were big underdogs. So not saying that, he's a great play, but I think he might be a little bit overpriced in my opinion, but I think he is viable just because of the upside when you're on the ice that often, and he is a mainstay for the LA Kings. Suzuki, I think, will be pretty popular here at the center position. Obviously an up-and-coming star on the Montreal side, which we know is the side that I prefer to get onto on this game or just stack it. But I love Suzuki here. I wish Suzuki was skating with Gallagher. We're just not getting that perfect correlation like we want it from a DFS perspective yet. But and they actually don't even correlate on power play either. Gallagher is right now on the second unit, which is kind of why his ice time is not as high as some of these other guys, because they've been doing so well on the power play that he hasn't necessarily gotten an opportunity to get that extra ice time during the power play. Brayton Shed, now he's seen his price increase to 4,800. He has a matchup against the LA Kings. I think now it's probably too expensive to be like feel super great about it in cash, but this mid-range of the center position is just awful anyway. So after Suzuki, so I think he is probably GPP for me. Stefan, 3.7 K is viable. He is always has a floor, a decent cash play. Kanimi, again, probably pronounced that wrong. I did my best. Watch the YouTube video of his highlights. 3,600 on the third line with, I think he's been with Toffoli actually. Toffoli's getting that top power play run, but he's been really good so far this season and is a great value play at the center position. Chris Tierney, another Ottawa Senator who has some value playing in the top 6, 3,500, and Nolan Patrick, 3,400 for Philadelphia. The winger position, Kyle Connor, 7,600 feels a little bit steep, but he does have probably one of the highest goal equities on the slate. Brad Marchand, 7,400 is a great correlation play with Patrice Bergeron. Brady Tkachuk is somebody that is going to be on the ice a ton. And for Ottawa in another matchup where Winnipeg is just going to allow tons of volume on net, it's hard not to like him here. Blake Wheeler is somebody that you compare with Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor. They correlate on power play and even strength. And just as I'm saying that, I did add the stacks to the end of this, so make sure you listen to the end for the value and the top stacks for me. Mid-range, Gallagher. I think his price is just too cheap still. Like has the 5-shot on goal bonus like literally in play every slate, and it's actually gettable. It's he's always flirting with the 4-5 every single slate. So love him there. Besser, 5,500 has been in insane form as well. The problem is he doesn't really pair that well with Horvat, but you could pair him with like somebody like Quinn Hughes or JT Miller. Tyler Toffoli, obviously we know his form is absolutely amazing, coming off being like sub 4K. I still think at 5.1, he is certainly in play. This is probably priced closer to where he should be, but probably even still a little bit cheap. The value, we have Drake Batharson, 4,200. Wish he was still under 4K, but I think you still have to consider him here, and he's viable. Boris Voracek, 3,700, has had a phenomenal season so far this year, and I think we'll be back up on the top line today with Kevin Hayes. So I think he is really valuable there. He will always get that first power play time as well. JVR, has been playing on the third line, but still getting power play one time. But the thing with him is it's not like he's a third liner playing 12 minutes of ice time. He's still getting 16 to 17 minutes. So these guys can still pay off their price tags. Now, I know the matchup is not amazing against Boston, and Boston's really good at like stifling, shot volume, but these guys' opportunity cost is still there, even in a backwards matchup. So Dadonov, 3,100, I think is just due to breakout. We know that what he did in Florida, so I think he's too cheap at 3.1. Stützle as well, I think will be back in the lineup, and he is a cheap value option at the winger position too. Petrie being the most expensive defender is kind of eye-opening. I prefer Shea Weber, honestly, for 400 cheaper any time of the week, but I can't deny his form, so I think he's fine in a Montreal stack, but I prefer Weber. Drew Doughty, I think he almost got the double-double bonus against Colorado last game. 6,300 still seems pretty steep for cash. I think in GPPs you could stack him with Brown and Kopitar, but I don't really want to go there in cash. Quinn Hughes, I do consider in cash because of all the injuries with Edler and Hamonic. We are seeing Quinn Hughes' ice time be like 25 minutes plus. So you got to like him. He is on the top power play unit for Vancouver. Provorov had a phenomenal game last maybe two against last two games have been really good for him. 5,400. You're really looking for the shot on goal and block shot stats from him here, less of getting the goal assist equity in a game against Boston. So 5,400 might be just a tiny bit steep for just that floor, but I think he is definitely in play. Colton Parayko is a great play at 5,200. Tyler Myers or Nate Schmidt are also going to be the Vancouver defensemen who are just going to see a massive amount of ice time here against Montreal with those two guys out. Falk's ice time was just so eye-opening when I checked it out when I was doing my research. He's over 20 minutes of ice time, closer to like 23, 24, 25. And I think that is part of the departure of Pietrangelo. And I think Krug, yes, plays kind of like filled his role, but Krug has never been, somebody that's been on the ice for 25 minutes. He's not somebody that just has played that way. So Chariot, I probably pronounced that wrong, maybe. I don't know. Montreal defender that last year ended up getting priced up like 4.5 to 5K because he was getting so many peripherals, block shots, and shots on goal. So I think he's somebody you consider here. Sanheim is just a punt for Philly. And Ulevi, I think is how to pronounce his name, 2,600, had over 21 minutes of ice time for Vancouver last game. Most of it being on the PK. I mean, like 8 minutes of it being on the PK. But I think he did block quite a few shots, if I remember right. So can't go wrong if he's going to be on the ice 20 minutes plus at that price. So the goalies, obviously, we only have 4 games, so it's pretty thin here. Binnington against LA will probably be the most popular pay-up option if you don't expect LA to score much. Hellebuck, Winnipeg going to be a slight favorite here. I think you're not paying for the win equity. You're paying for the shot volume plus potential win equity. You don't feel really good about the win, but I think I am on the Jet side of this game. So Hellebuck is fine, but I think if you want the win equity, you go up to somebody like Binnington, who has a much higher money line and win expected rate. Carey Price is fine, but I just get worried about that matchup, that it's just going to be goals after goals. So even if he gives up 3-4 goals, he might not get there. Halak, I think, will be really popular, as Boston will probably come in here as a favorite, and he's actually priced lower than Carter Hart. But if you have a preference on which goalie you like better, I don't mind going to Carter Hart as well. Value, I think Murray or whoever starts for Ottawa will be really nice. They will also see a lot of shot volume and will only be like a slight underdog or a pick 'em. So you're probably getting better win equity value, or not win equity. You're getting a better, you're closer to the money line for 1,000 less. So if this game is basically a pick 'em, why would you pay up to Hellebuck for 8.2 when you could pay down to Murray? Now, obviously Hellebuck has that save upside, which we've seen that Ottawa is just going to spray a massive amounts of shots on goal. But all right, so here's the stacks. And again, I'll take some feedback, and I've already talked through some stacks kind of throughout the thing, but I think the potential pay up stacks here are Bergeron, Marchand. And then if you want an even strength stack, you're stacking them with DeBrusk. And if you want it to be a power play stack, you're going with Krejci. So I think both are fine. It's, Boston feels much better to stack when you can just stack with Pastrnak, right? This isn't as appealing. So the pay up options here for Winnipeg, Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler, and Morrissey all are going to skate together on the power play. Morrissey and Puink will be the defenders likely skating with them in even strength, but that is some really nice correlation. It is expensive, but I think it can definitely get there. Now, a cheaper stack that I really, really like is Suzuki, Toffoli, and Weber. And then you can add Petrie into the mix. But these first 3 on power play will be a great stack. They will not all correlate on even strength, but I do like this as a power play stack. So a value stack, Norris, Dadonov, and Batharson. I think they are going to be all skating together, I believe, in even strength, or at least part of power play as well. But I mean, that's a really cheap stack. So make sure you check the line rushes this morning and before the game to make sure they're still skating together. And then just another kind of GPP flying stack is Charlie Coyle, Craig Smith, and McAvoy, who are on the second power play unit. Coyle and Smith are on the third line together, but they do still see a decent amount of ice time. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for checking out another Puck Drop. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's win some cash. And if you are looking for tiers content and today's showdowns that are not included on the main slate, get over to our Discord channel, and we will have core plays up for all of those slates. All right, see ya.